Hi there YouTube, it's Authentic here. Today we're going to be doing a Hydra takeover. Sorry if I sound slightly different, I do feel slightly under the weather, but I'm okay to go ahead and I wanted to put out this Hydra takeover for you guys. Now I was doing a key on my own account and I built a team for Brutal, and then somebody from my Twitch chat said to me, I've got this exact same champions, my gear is slightly worse than yours, but can it be replicated on my own account? So this is the team I went with: Duchess, Geo, Royal Guard, Stag Knight, Kaima and Lydia. So there's no AoE block buffs. The block buffs is only coming from Lydia and from Geo, and Kaima's going to reset and make sure we have enough burns, enough block buffs out there. So on Brutal difficulty, I believe it's 29.6 million. This is a key I done over at Twitch. So on twitch.tv/authentic1. This is my channel. Come through if you have time. I stream nearly every day apart from 2 days. So this is the key we did, 36.43 million. I put it on auto after around about, I got to 31 million and I just didn't care. I was like, let me just run it through. So I didn't really mind too much anything beyond that. But for this key or this account, we're going to try to replicate the same sort of thing. So let me show you what builds we put on our champions, what kind of gear sets I used. There were a few interesting gear sets. I went with a few relentless pieces or a few relentless champions and a few unique sort of builds. So let's jump right into it. So let me show you guys the builds. This is what I ran on Lydia. She was in a regen set, 60k HP, 254 speed, 100% crit rate and 400 accuracy. Didn't run any resistance because didn't really need to. Kaima's in a relentless, 60k HP, 250 speed, 100% crit rate and 350 accuracy. His accuracy is on a little bit on the low side, but the debuff he does is poisons and strip. It wasn't too important. We have 70k HP Duchess. Now this Duchess is interesting because excuse me. And then we have the Duchess. She's in One Piece Immortal, 70k HP, 306 speed, and 494 resistance. I didn't run full regen on her. I just ran one piece, one set. We have the Geo in Relentless, 55k HP, 250 speed, 100% crit rate, and 400 accuracy. We have Royal Guard again in Relentless, so no Savage, 50k HP, 245 speed, 250 plus crit damage. And we have Stag Knight in regen, 60k HP, 270 speed, 100% crit rate, and 400 plus accuracy. So the stats, as long as they're over 400, on around about 400, the accuracy is enough. So that's how we ran our champions. So this is the team we ran. We ran Duchess and Co. Now we're going to get into this and I'm going to show you exactly how we start this fight. We want to do A1 with Duchess because she's fast enough and she cycles around. These kind of things, well actually just started with the A2. These kind of things you pick up. The main thing to do is decrease speed on the Head of Decay and then do block buffs on Wrath. That's the starter you want. You want decrease speed on Decay and you want block buffs on Wrath. And you just want to A1 until basically now they do their buffs and then they cleanse. They're going to get rid of everything. So now we can see that Wrath doesn't have the cloud and only 3 heads have the cloud. But that's fine. What we're going to do is wait for our cooldowns to make sure we land everything at the right time. We're trying to do enough damage to the Blight head to make sure that the shield goes on to Blight. We'll do the strip to get rid of increased attack from one of the head. We'll do the burn, or we won't do the burn at this point. We'll let the cycles go on. We A1 again to make sure Blight gets the shield, so A1 again. And we want Decay to put the shield onto Blight. Now the reason why we want to do this is because we want to actually stun him and move the cooldowns apart. Because what's going to end up happening is if he doesn't get stunned, his speed is going to be in tune with the Head of Decay. So what's going to happen is that you deal with the first Head of Decay plus the Blight doing Poison Cloud, and then when they cycle around again, they're in tune, they're in sync, and that's a really bad position to be in. So what we do is we let the shield go on to Head of Blight, we burn him to make sure we break the shield and stun him, and then we start just doing damage. At this point we're just doing damage with landing burns, and then we're proccing Wrath over and over again. That is essentially how you start this fight and what the best start for this fight is in my opinion. A few things I would say to look out for is that you want to do block debuffs from Duchess or any of your block debuff champions. Only want to be doing block debuffs when the Head of Blight is about to poison you, or the Head of Wrath is about to do provoke on you. Now it's, you know, a lot of things to bear in mind when you're doing Hydra manual runs, right? There's so many things that we can talk about. I'm only going to mention, like in every video I'll probably point out 2 or 3 things. So at this point you can see I'm not doing any veils or any block debuffs, because I know I'm not getting any poisons, and there's not any debuffs that I'm really too worried about. There isn't anything that I'm crazy worried about. The poisons are, if you're not running resistance on your team, the poisons can stack and kill you quite quickly. So you want to save your block debuff for poisons and provokes. Apart from that, on this team, we're not running much regen. We have Lydia and Lydia and Stag Knight in regen. Kaimar in Relentless is amazing. He's amazing in Relentless. The only problem is, excuse me. The only problem with Royal Guard in Relentless is that when people build, the only thing with Kaimar in Relentless is when people build Kaimar, they're building for Arena. He doesn't have lifesteal on. He doesn't have the lifesteal mastery, life drink I believe it is. So because you don't take that mastery, it's kind of important that you take regen or like at least 1 set of immortal. If you take 1 set of immortal and you have good gear to make Relentless, like a good Relentless immortal set, you could do that, but in my opinion you should just go 1 regen and 1 perception set on Kaimar. And then maybe use some refresh accessories. Geomancer is good in reflex and Relentless, it's really, really good. Again, this team doesn't really have a healer, it just has Duchess Shield from A1 and Duchess Revive. So if this team had an Ugo in it, then I would probably recommend not running regen, but because this team doesn't have a Ugo in it, then I would probably say you might want to run regen on more champions than I did in this run. So if you just pause there for a second, you see he's done the cleanse, and because we stunned Blight for 1 turn, we managed to open up the gap between those two, so we have enough time to do our debuffs, our block debuffs, our burns, and everything else. So it's important that you get the stun off on the Head of Blight. But that's about it, all I want to explain for now. I'm going to let the run continue, show you guys how much damage this team actually did, and I'll come back in at the end and we'll just go over what we think went right and what we could probably improve on for this key. This is the final damage for the team. We can see Geomancer 16 million, 17 million from Rogard or 18 million, 2 million from Stag Knight, nearly 2 million from Kaimar, and 646 for Lydia. So the damage is quite easily a one key. One keying with this team on Brutal should be pretty straightforward. The only thing I would say is if you're not running a healer or if you're not running anybody without Life Drinker, for example, Prince Kaimar is probably the only one that wouldn't be using Life Drinker. I would put him in Regen or Immortal, but outside of that, I wouldn't focus too much on Regen. Maybe try dropping some Regen here and there, especially if you're running in Brutal over Nightmare. So let me just show you. This is the damage that his clanmate's done, and this is the damage he's comparing to. So it's a pretty big key. Hopefully this helps them towards downing the Brutal difficulty, so they can move on to Nightmare. So these are the sets I run on everybody. It's Duchess was in Regen 2 speed. Then we have Relentless Perception on Geo. We have Relentless Crit Damage on Royal Guard. We have Stag Knight in Regen Perception. We have Kaimar in Perception Relentless, and Regen Perception on Lydia. Royal Guard in Relentless I wasn't a huge fan of, to be honest. I thought it'd probably be okay because we were doing Brutal over Nightmare. In Nightmare I would definitely say run Savage, but people have had success with Relentless Royal Guard, so I wanted to try it out. I probably wouldn't try it out again. I think I've kind of realized that I don't like him as much without Savage. So Savage is good. Lethal is probably the best set for Hydra, enemy max HP damage dealers, because the crit rate, the crit rate and ignore defense and speed and crit damage is all the stats you want. You don't really care much for attack, so that set is perfect. I know it's good for everybody, but I find it that it's really easy to put enemy max HP champions into Savage and into lethal sets because you don't really need to build them with any attack. But that's basically the team. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys are attacking or what you're hitting. If you enjoy the content, leave us a like. Make sure you like this video. Hit the subscribe button to let you guys know when the next video is going live. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.